Put it on. Ellie, give me Sophie. Can we take a picture? That. Oh, massive picture. Let the middle show.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's a bit heavier than her rosettes, isn't it?
Yeah, no worries. That's good. Run plan there as well. Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, mate.
We've actually got up there, it's all to have a little look and see if there's anything there.
If horses do spook, we take action to separate horses and spectators, as we call it in training. We're saying, who is that person who we think has been happening? Talking from that way. Okay. You're going to want to show your appreciation at the end. Please don't. What we will do is get ourselves out safely and then the horses, and there will be an opportunity later if you'd like to go onto the yard in little tour groups to actually get to meet some of them. So I hope you take that opportunity up. But just a quick question, are you enjoying yourself? Yay! Fabulous. I'm going to extend a really warm Aldersbrook welcome to Sophie Christiansen, who, as I'm sure needs, most of you know, needs no introduction, but just to hear myself say it again, because I'll probably never get to say it after this, is the 3 times gold medalist Paralympian. And, whoa, look! This model has kindly pointed out to me that real treat, so excited here, she has brought her medals, and at the end, as a little reward for sitting through some things we're going to be doing after, if you bear with us, we'd very much like the children and anyone else after that to come up, because Sophie is going to give them a chance to hold them and have a photograph with them. So again, thanks Sophie, there's not many people that would be willing to do that.
The weather is beautiful. You couldn't have asked for a better day. So I have a disability called cerebral palsy, which means I have no full control over any of my limbs. I was born 2 months early and nearly died several times. So even at an early age, I was given my parents grief. But there was a time when I was living a relatively normal life. So I went to normal schools with special units attached to them to give disabled people a bit of extra support. The physiotherapist who visited the unit at my infant school when I was about 6 years old just happened to believe in the benefits of horse riding for kids with disabilities and took us all in the school van to the local riding for the disabled stables every couple of weeks. And as you can tell by the massive smile on my face, one back, I love those outings. I've always been quite sporty and used to play football and hockey during break at school, even if I kept falling over. So I continued riding with different riding for the disabled association groups, as I loved horses and the freedom that they gave me when I rode. The groups did their best to help me progress and allowed me to compete at fundraising events where I won my first riding trophy. At 13 years old, I found a special group, South Bucks RDA, which introduced me to riding for top competitive sport. When I found a sport that I could actually excel at, I wanted to be the best that I could be. I discovered that I could go to competitions in dressage, which, if you haven't seen it before, but most people have now, it's like dancing on horses, where you have to control the horse in a set pattern. I competed first regionally, then nationally, and finally internationally, and was helped by the government when I first started. At first, I was very nervous, and I have to say I was sick in the car park when I arrived to compete. And I yelled at my mum more than a few times, but I knew that this was what I was meant to do. I was selected for the Athens Paralympic Games in 2004 at the age of 16 as the youngest rider to have ever competed at the Games. I was taken for experience and no one expected that I would win a bronze medal. The whole experience changed my life. I learned the importance of teamwork, became more confident and less self-conscious due to the amount of interviews I had to do, and generally grew up. I also saw a large amount of disabled people for the first time, which made me think about how I coped with my own disability. The other Paralympians were just getting on with life, joking about it along the way. And at 16, I wanted to be seen in this positive light, changing people's perception of disability. Since then, I've become European and world champion and won 2 golds and a silver medal at the Beijing Paralympic Games in 2008, while studying for a maths degree at Royal Holloway University of London. Yes, I know, I'm weird. Riding for sport meant that I could continue a form of physiotherapy when my entitlement to NHS physio was cut at 19. I found that being athlete fit reduced the limitations my disability puts on my body, enabling me to live a so-called normal life. I graduated last year in 2011, which was a big change for me. I had spent my life in education, successfully balancing it with my sport, with the help of South Bucks RDA, who looked after my horse when I was studying. But now, all the focus was on London 2012, and my performances weren't to my usual standard, as I was so desperate to compete at the home games. So, I started a part-time job as a statistician to replace the balance I had when I was studying. I also worked really hard with my psychologist and learned from other sports about how they cope with the pressure. Did anyone watch a program called Splash on the TV with Tom Daly? Well, one of the judges was called Leon Taylor, and he was my mentor last year, and I really learned a lot from the sport of diving to take back to my own sport, which you would have thought diving and dressage aren't really the same, but there were loads of comparisons that really helped me having someone to talk to about the stresses that I was under. And again. 2012 was the most difficult year of my sporting career, but that made me dig even deeper. My hard work was rewarded by 3 gold medals, and now I'm going to show you some footage of my 3rd competition at London, which was dressage to music. So hopefully this will work. And I've got a game for you.
So here we have Sophie coming in, and let's see what she can do for us today. Having a really successful games here. Individual medalist 2 days ago, team gold medalist as well. I can just confirm for you the score she has to beat is 73.9.
So point for anyone who can get music.
I know that this is a new freestyle that Sophie's riding, which was composed especially for London 2012, and I can give you a little bit of a heads up that it's quite quirky in places for a grade 1A.
So basically at this level, all they do is walk. They have to do some set movements. They have to ride a 10-meter circle to the right, 10-meter circle to the left, and some loops. They are allowed to, but it's very rare to see, add in some trot work, and also allowed to do some lateral work. But mainly it's judged on the harmony and the quality of the walk. And this horse has a very clear 4-beat rhythm. And that's why she's been so successful here the last few days.
I mean, when you watch the riders within this grade, you shouldn't underestimate the physical effort that Sophie's having to put into this test due to a cerebral palsy. I mean, 4.5 minutes of maintaining a walk rhythm when you don't have that good coordination is a huge physical effort. The music has a very clear walk beat if you look at the horse's hind legs. The walk rhythm is timed more or less to the beat of the left, right hind leg.
And while we're looking at those legs, also for the walk, what you want to see is an overtrack. So if you look at the footfalls, the hind leg has to step in front of where the front leg finishes.
Good stretching and relaxation. Again, you can see Sophie coming forward, and you can see how she's holding those loops on the reins because she's not able to adjust them easily. So again, for a cerebral palsy rider, this is a very difficult movement to do, particularly when they come back into the balance of the medium walk, which is the walk she's now in.
And you actually saw that the horse stayed round in the outline.
This earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, hemi-paradise, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in a silver sea, this blessed planet, this earth, this realm, this ring.
So that's very unusual to have some words in it. And she was actually performing shoulder in then. I didn't want to say anything so you could sort of get the idea of the music. And she'll get quite good scores for that because we haven't really seen many of the other riders perform shoulder in, which is that 2-track movement. And she really kept a really clear walk rhythm throughout.
So this is a very patriotic end to her test. I know she's now coming for her final hold.
Well done, Sophie. Super job. And easily, I know there are 5-6 left to go, but easily the best we've seen so far.
What really? How you going?
Actually, the whole equestrian team here have done so well, and in Beijing we got 10 medals, 5 gold, 5 silver, but with 7 riders. At this Paralympics we're down to only 5 riders, so we want to see if we can beat that this year. Oh, loads of cheers for her, that's fantastic. Just waiting on the score here. Lucky it's warm today. Oh, she's thrilled with it. A massive score, 84.75%. At the moment, that's putting her 11% in the lead. I think that'll be good enough. Hopefully she will stay in gold medal position.
And indeed, it was good enough. She did stay in gold medal position. That score confirmed at 84.75%. Sensational stuff from Sophie Christiansen, and her third gold of these games. She's been the star of the show, it has to be said.
Can I just add that I do actually know that half-naked boys, they weren't random fans. But I wouldn't have even started riding without the RDA, let alone win gold medals for my country. My family aren't remotely horsey at all. In fact, my mum is allergic to horses. I think I did it on purpose. But they saw the benefits of riding for me, physically, socially and mentally. Riding in sport has given me so much, so many amazing experiences and opportunities, and made me who I am today. The RDA is about achievement, but that doesn't necessarily mean winning gold medals. Achievement is different for everyone, from being able to sit up straight on a horse to communicating with others around you. This platform can only exist if we have the volunteers, the ponies and the facilities like this one here. Thank you for enabling people to fulfill their potential. Thanks for listening.
Wow, how do you follow that then? Simple answer is you don't. Can I ask, before I say thank you, and I will in a moment, to Sophie, if anyone's got any burning questions? Can you put your hand up and we'll try and get a mic to you? Oh, hang on, can I have a runner, please? Naresh?
So it's a very inspiring story, but what I was curious about with your mentor, if you could give some kind of idea about tips to deal with pressure.
So that's an interesting question, and one that if I hadn't answered, I don't think I would have even got to the games, let alone win gold medals. I met Leon the day after I'd been to the second round of selection trials out of 4, and I had come 6th, which would mean that I wouldn't be good enough to make the team of 5. So Leon, I spent a lot of time talking with him, and at the end he was like, well, why did you start riding or doing sport in the first place? And I said, well, to have fun, I guess. And he said, well, you don't seem to be having that much fun at the moment. So once I had gone back to basics and started having a smile on my face, that's when my performance really started improving. Smiling meant that I relaxed and forgot about the enormous amount of pressure I had. So yeah, that's my one tip. always have fun.
Anyone else? There will be some opportunities after. I've just seen another hand go up. We'll take one more after Carl, I think it is.
Are you going to participate in the next Olympic Games to continue your record?
Well, everyone asks me that, and my standard answer is maybe. Rio is a long time off, 3 years, and my horse will actually be a bit too old for that Paralympics, so I'm going to have to find a horse that matches his talent. So that'll be the big question. I may be ready, but if I don't have a horse, then obviously I can't compete. So yes, maybe. I'll try that.
Oh, I think I've been pointing down this end. Last one. Put your hand up really clearly for us, please. Yes.
Sophie Christiansen Paralympic.
How many horses have you had in your riding?
No,
I've actually had quite a few. When I started, I couldn't afford buying my own dressage toys because they're quite expensive. So I used to have them on loan, like most of you probably do here. So that meant that when the owners wanted them back, I would have to give them back. So I used to only have a horse for about a year or two. So I've had quite a few, but I think that is what made me such a good rider, and that I can take something from every horse that I ride and really apply it to my current horse. A horse I had for London was my first horse that I'd actually owned, so he's like my baby. But unfortunately he's called Rio, but he won't get to go to Rio, so maybe I could find a horse called London next.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think just standing back, looking and listening to everyone, how enraptured they were, that I'd like to say on behalf of Aldersbrook, everyone here today, thank you, Sophie, for travelling, for sharing your experience with us. Today is two things. It's one, to celebrate 40 years of this place bringing horses and people, large numbers of children and adults together in the community in East London. Then my mum happened to spot a little ad about this place. She was absolutely petrified, we discovered, of horses, because she brought me down to the gate when I was probably only about 5, left me and went, there they are, go find them. And I remember Ida welcomed me up the yard. It was very small then, it was about 2 stables and 1 pony. Just reflecting on that, Aldersbrook Riding Stables over the 40 years has helped literally thousands of people like me to have a chance to ride. But let's look forward to the next 40. I just want to mention at this point, if you all look down at your feet, if you'd have come here this time last year, you would have been on basic builder's sand. Actually, the people who actually put that down for us, Ben, I'm looking for Ben and the Dalmatian, At the back, chaps, really worked with us to get that town in record time so that we could have it for the winter, to stop the schools not being able to come, and also to celebrate this event. Clearly, with better facilities, we can encourage increased participation with the help. Let's celebrate those memories and make sure we take action so that our grandchildren and their grandchildren have the same memories 40 years from now that we are having. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say thank you to all our community groups, they're still busy out there, for supporting us. I'm also going to expand that to our 3 local ward councillors, Michelle, Alex and Thomas, how many of you come up here on a Sunday with your kids? There's children's rides on a Sunday unbooked 9 till 11:30 to give kids the opportunity to sit on a horse. What makes that possible is this little band of leaders over here. Oh yeah, hear the giggles now. They're going to shy away. But without these very, very special people, we wouldn't actually be able to put those lessons on. So, is Claire Aldridge. She is the chair of the board of trustees, and her
Very noble gifts are for Joe.
This place would not have been possible without the vision and foresight of one very special lady. Yes, Ida, it's you. Okay, I'm afraid you're going to have to come up. The vision of a very special lady. The flowers have been donated by Debbie at Gate Mountain for horses. Plaque up here
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. I didn't expect to see as many people as this. It's such an achievement, 40 years.
Wow, this is such an amazing facility in London, and I really hope that you guys can use the legacy of the games last year, because that is what it's all about, getting kids and other young people involved in sport and riding. So keep going.
Michelle, perhaps you'd just like to say a few words.
Obviously, it's fantastic to be here. You've done a fantastic job. It's great to see the Aldersbrook community here today, as always, putting together.
I'm just completely overwhelmed. And just, I think all I can say is to our special guests, to Sandy and all the people that have made the effort. And lastly, for all of you, for actually, thank you ever so much for coming. And I'm absolutely convinced horses are good for people. Yes. Of every age and every ability, horses are good for them.
Do you want to bend down?
I'm blocking your view anyway. Sorry.
Thanks so much. Oh,